I woke up to the rhythmic beeping of machines, each sound piercing through the fog in my mind. My eyelids felt heavy, but I forced them open, squinting against the harsh fluorescent lights above me. The room was a blur of white and sterile surfaces. It took a moment to realize I was in a hospital. My body was numb, and when I tried to move, a sharp pain shot through my chest, forcing a groan from my lips. Where am I? I muttered to myself, my voice barely a whisper. As I lay there, trying to gather my bearings, I heard a faint, familiar voice. It was Emily, my wife. Relief washed over me. She was here. She would explain everything. I turned my head slightly, wincing at the effort, and saw her standing by the door, her back to me, talking on the phone. "How long do you think he'll be like this?" Emily asked, her tone devoid of emotion. "Will he lie like a vegetable for long and suffer? Perhaps it's worth resorting to more radical measures." Her words sent a chill down my spine. I strained to hear the reply, but it was muffled. My heart raced as I struggled to process what I was hearing. Emily, my loving wife, was discussing my condition with such detachment. It felt surreal. I blinked slowly, trying to clear my thoughts, but Emily's next words cut through the haze like a knife. "Yes, I understand. No, he hasn't shown any signs of improvement. I'll discuss the will with the lawyer tomorrow. I need to ensure everything is in order." A surge of anger and betrayal coursed through me, but my body refused to respond. I had to stay calm, to listen. I had to understand what was happening. The door opened and a doctor walked in. I recognized him from earlier visits, Dr. Merritt, a kind-looking man with graying hair and a calm demeanor. He approached Emily, glancing briefly at me before focusing on her. "Good evening, Mrs. Thompson," he said softly. "How are you holding up?" Emily sighed dramatically, putting on a show of weariness. "It's been tough, doctor. I just want Henry to be at peace. Prolonging this, it's just cruel." Dr. Merritt nodded sympathetically. "We're doing everything we can. It's important to remain hopeful, though. Miracles do happen." Emily's lips curled into a tight smile. "Of course, doctor. Thank you for everything you're doing." As Dr. Merritt checked the machines and noted my vitals, Emily's phone rang again. She answered quickly, stepping to the side, but not far enough for me to miss her words. "Hello. Yes, I'm still here. No changes. I think I'll be able to manage the restaurant as I see fit once Henry is no longer with us." My heart felt like it was shattering into pieces. I had worked tirelessly to build that restaurant, pouring my soul into it, and now Emily was plotting to take it all. The realization hit me hard. She believed I was a vegetable, incapable of recovery, and she was already planning her future without me. Dr. Merritt finished his checks and turned to Emily. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to call. We'll continue to monitor him closely." "Thank you, doctor," Emily replied, her voice sweet but hollow. "I appreciate your dedication." As Dr. Merritt left the room, Emily stayed behind for a moment, her expression hardening as she stared at me. "You were always so strong, Henry. Who would have thought you'd end up like this?" She muttered under her breath, a hint of bitterness in her tone. I closed my eyes, feeling unconsciousness, and willed my racing heart to calm. I needed to think, to plan. Emily couldn't know that I was aware of her intentions. If I was to protect myself and everything I had built, I had to play the part. I had to pretend I was still in a coma. Hours felt like days as I lay there, my mind racing. I could hear the nurse's soft footsteps, the murmur of voices, but my focus remained on Emily's betrayal. I had to stay strong. I had to survive this. A nurse, Erica, entered the room quietly, checking my IV and adjusting the monitors. She hummed softly, a soothing melody that momentarily eased my turmoil. "Good evening, Mr. Thompson," she whispered, not expecting a response. "I hope you can hear me. We're all rooting for you." Her kindness was a stark contrast to Emily's coldness, and it gave me a sliver of hope. Not everyone had abandoned me. There were still good people in the world. As Erica left, I took a deep breath, my resolve hardening. I would not let Emily take everything from me. How to find a way to fight back to reclaim my life. For now, I would remain still, silent, and patient. The game had begun, and I intended to win. The days following my revelation about Emily's betrayal were a haze of pain, anger, and cold calculation. I was determined to protect myself and my assets, but to do so, I had to continue pretending to be unconscious. Every day I lay still, forcing myself not to react to the constant pain or the myriad emotions roiling inside me. My mind was sharp, but my body was still weak and unresponsive. Emily's visits became more frequent. She seemed almost cheerful as she discussed her plans for my restaurant and her future with her lover. Each visit was a test of my willpower, a challenge to remain still and silent. One afternoon, I heard her voice again, more upbeat than ever. "Oh, darling, I'm just leaving the hospital now. Henry is the same, no changes. Yes, I talked to the lawyer. Everything is set. Once he's gone, we'll be able to move forward with our plans." I had to bite down on my tongue to keep from reacting. The venom in her words, the casual way she spoke of my death, filled me with a renewed sense of purpose. I couldn't let her win. Later that day, Erica, the kind nurse who had shown me so much compassion, entered the room. She went about her routine, checking my vitals and adjusting the IV. Her presence was a balm to my frayed nerves. "Good evening, Mr. Thompson," she said softly, her voice like a soothing melody. "I hope you're feeling a little better today." For a moment, I wish I could speak, thank her for her kindness. Instead, I remained still, my eyes barely open. Erica turned to leave, but then she paused, looking back at me with a thoughtful expression. "Mr. Thompson, I don't know if you can hear me, but I believe you can. If there's any part of you that's still fighting, keep fighting. Don't give up." Her words were a lifeline, a reminder that I wasn't entirely alone in this battle. I resolved to trust her, to find a way to communicate my situation to her when the time was right. The next morning, as Emily was preparing to leave, she spoke to me with an eerie mix of pity and impatience. "Henry, if you can hear me, just let go. This is no life for you. It's better this way." I wanted to scream at her, to tell her I wasn't ready to let go, that I would fight with everything I had. But I remained silent, my body betraying no sign of the turmoil within. That evening, I overheard a conversation between two nurses outside my room. "Did you hear about Mr. Thompson?" one of them asked. "Yes, it's so sad," the other replied. "His wife seems so ready to move on. It's almost as if she's waiting for him to die." "I know, but Erica seems to think he's still in there fighting. She's convinced he can hear us." Their words gave me hope. If Erica believed in me, maybe there was a way to let her know I was still here, still fighting. I just needed to be patient, to wait for the right moment. A few days later, Emily brought her lover to the hospital. They stood by my bed, discussing their plans in hushed tones. The lover, a smug man named Greg, spoke with a confidence that made my skin crawl. "Once Henry's out of the picture, we can renovate the restaurant. Make it something truly spectacular," Greg said, a sly smile on his face. Emily nodded, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Yes, and with the insurance money, we'll have more than enough to fund the renovations. It'll be perfect." I had to summon every ounce of willpower to remain still. Their blatant disregard for my life, their greed and ambition, fueled my resolve. I would not let them win. That night, as Erica was checking on me, I tried to find a way to communicate with her. Summoning all my strength, I managed to move my fingers slightly. It was a small movement, barely noticeable, but Erica's eyes widened in surprise. "Mr. Thompson," she whispered, leaning closer. "Can you hear me?" I moved my fingers again, more deliberately this time. Erica's face lit up with a mixture of relief and excitement. "Oh my God, you can hear me. You're still in there." She glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then leaned in closer. "Listen, Mr. Thompson, if you can understand me, we need to find a way to let the doctors know. But we have to be careful. Your wife, I don't trust her." I moved my fingers again, hoping to convey my agreement. Erica nodded, her expression determined. "I'll find a way to help you. Just hang in there." With Erica on my side, I felt a glimmer of hope. I knew it wouldn't be easy, and I had to remain cautious, but I finally had an ally. The fight was far from over, but I was no longer alone, and that made all the difference. Emily's visits to my hospital room became more of a routine, her demeanor increasingly casual and her true intentions alarmingly transparent. Each day, I'd brace myself for her latest revelations, trying to absorb every detail while maintaining the facade of unconsciousness. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming, but I used it to fuel my determination to reclaim my life. One afternoon, Emily walked in, her heels clicking on the tiled floor. She was dressed impeccably, as always, her businesslike appearance a stark contrast to the sterile environment of the ICU. She pulled up a chair next to my bed and took out her phone, dialing a number with practiced ease. "Hi, Greg." "Yes, I'm here with him now," she said, her voice dripping with feigned concern. "No, there's no change. He's still completely unresponsive." I could hear Greg's voice on the other end, muffled but audible. "Good. We need to make sure everything is set for the transition. Have you spoken to the lawyer?" "Yes," Emily replied, glancing at me with a mixture of pity and impatience. "I've gone over the will. Once Henry is gone, everything will transfer smoothly to me. The restaurant, the properties, all of it." My heart pounded in my chest, but I forced myself to remain still. I had suspected her betrayal, but hearing it confirmed in her own words was like a dagger to the heart. I had loved Emily, trusted her, and now she was planning my demise for her own gain. Emily continued, oblivious to my inner turmoil. "We'll have to make some changes to the staff, of course. There are a few who are too loyal to Henry. We can't have them questioning our decisions." Greg's response was enthusiastic. "Absolutely. We'll bring our own people, ensure everything runs smoothly. It'll be our empire, Emily." Emily's lips curled into a smile. "Yes, our empire. And with the insurance payout, we'll have more than enough to make the renovations I've been planning." She stood up, smoothing her skirt. I'll see you tonight. We need to go over the final details. This has to be seamless. After hanging up, Emily turned to me, her expression softening into one of false tenderness. She reached out and touched my hand, a gesture that would have seemed loving if I didn't know the truth. Oh, Henry, she sighed, I hope you find peace soon. This is no way to live for either of us. She stayed for a few more minutes, her eyes occasionally flicking to her phone. Finally, she left, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The anger and hurt swirled within me, but I knew I couldn't afford to lose control. I had to stay focused. Later that evening, Erica came in to check on me. She was a beacon of kindness in this sea of betrayal, and her presence was a comfort. She adjusted the IV and checked my vitals, her movements careful and precise. Good evening, Mr. Thompson, she said softly. I hope you're holding up. Summoning my strength, I moved my fingers again, trying to signal her. Erica's eyes widened and she leaned closer. You're still with us, she whispered. I knew it. She glanced around to make sure we were alone, then spoke in a low voice. I've been looking into things, trying to find a way to help you. But we have to be careful. Your wife, she's dangerous. I moved my fingers again, more deliberately this time. Erica nodded, understanding. I'll keep working on it. Just hang in there. We'll get you out of this. The next few days were a blur of half-heard conversations and mounting evidence of Emily's deceit. She met with Greg frequently, their discussions growing bolder and more detailed. One evening, they spoke about the staff at the restaurant. We'll have to fire Henry's old team, Emily said. They're too loyal to him. We need people we can trust, who will follow our lead without question. Greg agreed readily. Absolutely. We'll bring in our own team. And with a new design, there'll be a fresh start. No traces of Henry left. Their words cut deep, but I held on to the hope that Erica could help me. I couldn't let them win. I had to find a way to expose their treachery and reclaim what was rightfully mine. One night, Emily stayed later than usual. She sat by my bed, sipping a glass of wine she had smuggled in, her eyes glinting with anticipation. Everything's falling into place, Henry, she murmured, almost to herself. Soon you'll be gone, and I'll have everything I ever wanted. The restaurant, the money, the freedom. She leaned closer, her breath warm on my face. You always underestimated me, Henry. Thought I was just your pretty little wife. But I'm smarter than you gave me credit for. And soon, I'll prove it. As she left, I felt a surge of determination. Emily had shown her true colors, and now was my turn. I would survive this. I would expose her deceit and take back my life. The battle was far from over, and I was ready for whatever came next. The plan for my escape began to take shape over the next few days. Erica, who had become my confidant and ally, worked tirelessly to devise a way to get me out of the hospital without arousing suspicion. She was careful, methodical, and most importantly, determined to help me reclaim my life. One evening, Erica came to my room with a look of resolve on her face. Mr. Thompson, I've found a way to get you out of here, she whispered, glancing around to ensure we were alone. But it won't be easy. We have to be very careful. I managed a slight nod, my trust in Erica unwavering. She explained the plan in detail, outlining each step with precision. It involved a coordinated effort between herself and Dr. Merritt, who had agreed to help after Erica confided in him about my situation. The doctor will declare you stable enough to be transferred to a private facility, Erica explained. It's a ruse, of course, but it'll give us the cover we need. I've arranged for a private ambulance to take you to a safe location. That night, I lay awake, going over the plan in my mind. The anticipation and anxiety were almost overwhelming, but I clung to the hope that soon I would be free of this nightmare. The day of the escape arrived. Erica and Dr. Merritt had everything ready. The private ambulance was waiting discreetly in a back alley, far from prying eyes. Erica entered my room, her demeanor calm and professional. Mr. Thompson, it's time, she said softly. Remember, stay as still as possible. We can't afford any mistakes. With the help of a couple of trusted nurses, Erica and Dr. Merritt wheeled my bed out of the ICU. The journey through the hospital corridors felt surreal, every corner a potential point of exposure, but Erica's calm presence was a constant reassurance. As we reached the back exit, Dr. Merritt gave me a reassuring nod. Good luck, Mr. Thompson. We'll keep up the ruse here as long as we can. The transfer to the ambulance was smooth, and soon we were on our way to the safe location. A small, discreet clinic owned by a friend of Erica's. The relief of being out of the hospital was immense, but I knew the real challenge lay ahead. Once settled in the clinic, Erica turned to me, her expression serious. Mr. Thompson, you need to regain your strength. We don't have much time before Emily realizes something is amiss. I've arranged for a physical therapist to work with you. For the next few days, I focused on my recovery with a fierce determination. The physical therapy sessions were grueling, but with each passing day, I felt my strength returning. Erica's unwavering support was a beacon of hope, and her frequent updates on Emily's actions kept me motivated. Then the day came when I felt strong enough to confront Emily. Erica and I planned the confrontation meticulously. It had to be public enough to ensure Emily couldn't easily deny her actions, but controlled enough to avoid any undue risk. We decided the best place for the confrontation was the restaurant, my restaurant. It was symbolic, the heart of everything Emily was trying to take from me. Erica arranged for a small gathering of loyal staff members who had been kept in the dark about Emily's plans. As we approached the restaurant, I felt a mix of anger, anticipation, and a strange sense of closure. This was it, the moment I would take back my life. We entered through the back, avoiding the main dining area where Emily was likely holding court. Erica stayed close, her presence a comforting anchor. The restaurant was bustling, a testament to the hard work I had put into it over the years. We made our way to the office where Emily and Greg were discussing their plans, oblivious to the storm about to hit them. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open, the sight of them together igniting a fire within me. Emily looked up, her eyes widening in shock. "Henry, what? How?" Greg stood up, his expression turning from confusion to anger. "This is impossible. You're supposed to be." "Supposed to be what, Greg? Dead?" I interrupted, my voice steady but laced with fury. "I know everything, Emily. Your plans, your betrayal. Did you really think I'd just lie there and let you take everything from me?" Emily recovered quickly, her face hardening. "Henry, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I snapped. "You were ready to let me die to take my life's work and live your perfect little life with him." Greg stepped forward, trying to regain control of the situation. "Look, Henry, we can work this out. You don't have to make a scene." I turned to Greg, my gaze cold. "There's nothing to work out. You both tried to destroy me, and now you'll face the consequences." At that moment, Erica entered the room with several of my loyal staff members behind her. Their presence was a silent support, their loyalty clear. "Emily, Greg," I said, my voice gaining strength, "you're finished. I've already contacted my lawyer and the authorities. Your plans to steal from me, your deceit. It's over." Emily's face contorted with rage. "You can't do this, Henry. You don't have any proof." Erica stepped forward, holding up a small recording device. "Actually, we do. Every word you said to Henry while he was in the hospital, every plan you made, it's all here." Greg paled, his bravado crumbling. "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious," I replied. "Now get out of my restaurant. You're both done here." As they were escorted out, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The road to recovery would be long, but with loyal friends and colleagues by my side, I knew I could rebuild my life. The battle was won, but the war for my future had just begun. After the confrontation at the restaurant, my focus shifted to seeking justice and rebuilding my life. With Emily and Greg out of the picture, the first order of business was to ensure they faced the consequences of their actions. I enlisted the help of my lawyer, Robert, who had been a trusted advisor for years. We met in his office the day after the confrontation. "Henry, I'm glad to see you on your feet," Robert said, shaking my hand firmly. "I've been briefed on the situation by Erica and we're ready to proceed, but this won't be easy. Emily and Greg will fight back." "I'm prepared for that," I replied, my voice resolute. "They need to pay for what they've done. Let's start with reopening the fraud case against Emily." Robert nodded. "I've already reached out to the investigators. Given the new evidence and her recent actions, they're willing to revisit the case. We'll also file for divorce and ensure she doesn't get a penny more than she deserves." Over the next few weeks, the legal battle intensified. Emily hired a high-profile lawyer determined to defend herself and keep her ill-gotten gains. But the evidence against her was overwhelming. The recordings Erica had made of her conversations in the hospital were damning. In one particularly tense courtroom session, Emily took the stand. She tried to paint herself as a loving wife who had been misunderstood, but Robert was relentless in his cross-examination. "Mrs. Thompson, can you explain this recording where you discussed taking over your husband's assets while he was in a coma?" Robert played the tape, Emily's voice filling the courtroom with her own words of betrayal. Emily's composure cracked. "I was under a lot of stress. I didn't mean any of it." Robert pressed on. "Is that why you referred to your husband as a vegetable and discussed your plans to run the restaurant with your lover?" Emily had no answer. The judge's stern gaze made it clear she had no sympathy for her excuses. The verdict was swift and just. Emily was found guilty of fraud and conspiracy. She was sentenced to several years in prison, and her claims to my assets were nullified. Greg, too, faced legal repercussions, though his sentence was less severe. With the legal battles behind me, I turned my attention to the restaurant. The staff who had remained loyal during the turmoil were instrumental in getting things back on track. Erica's support was invaluable, both professionally and personally. One evening, after the restaurant had closed for the day, I gathered the staff for a meeting in the dining area. The atmosphere was hopeful, the sense of camaraderie stronger than ever. I want to thank all of you for standing by me through this difficult time. I began looking around the familiar faces. We've been through a lot, but I believe we're stronger for it. The restaurant is not just a business to me. It's a family. Andrew, one of my senior chefs, stepped forward. We're with you, Henry. This place means a lot to all of us, and we're ready to work harder than ever to make it thrive. Erica, standing beside me, smiled warmly. We have a lot of exciting plans for the future. New dishes, improved service, and maybe even expanding to new locations. The staff cheered, the energy in the room infectious. For the first time in months, I felt a genuine sense of optimism. After the meeting, Erica and I sat on the terrace enjoying a rare moment of peace. The stars were out, the city lights twinkling in the distance. You've been amazing through all of this, Erica, I said, taking her hand. I don't know how I would have managed without you. She squeezed my hand gently. I believe in you, Henry. I knew you could get through this, and now we can focus on rebuilding together. The weeks turned into months, and slowly but surely the restaurant regained its former glory. The loyal clientele returned, drawn by the improved service and new menu offerings. The staff worked tirelessly, their dedication evident in every aspect of the business. But it wasn't just the restaurant that was being rebuilt. My personal life, too, began to heal. With Emily out of my life, I found solace in the support of friends and the burgeoning relationship with Erica. She had become more than just a colleague. She was a true partner in every sense. One evening, as we were closing up the restaurant, Erica turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Henry, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. I raised an eyebrow, curious. What's on your mind? She took a deep breath. Have you thought about what comes next? Beyond the restaurant, I mean. What do you want for your future? The question gave me pause. For so long, my focus had been on survival and justice. But now, with the worst behind me, it was time to consider the future. I want to continue building this business, expanding it, I said slowly. But more than that, I want a life that's meaningful and fulfilling. I want to make up for lost time to find happiness again. Erica smiled, her eyes sparkling with determination. I think you're well on your way, Henry. And whatever the future holds, I'll be right here by your side. In that moment, I realized how far I had come. From the depths of betrayal and despair, I had emerged stronger, ready to embrace the future with hope and determination. With loyal friends, a thriving business, and the support of someone who truly cared, I knew that the best was yet to come. The months following the legal battles and the re-establishment of my restaurant were a whirlwind of activity and emotion. With Emily and Greg out of my life, I felt an exhilarating sense of freedom and possibility. The time had come to turn the page and start anew. My mornings began early with a quiet cup of coffee on the terrace, watching the sunrise over the city. It was a peaceful moment, a stark contrast to the chaos that had once consumed my life. One morning, as I sipped my coffee, Erica joined me, her face glowing in the dawn light. It's beautiful, isn't it? She said, sitting beside me. It is, I replied, taking her hand. A reminder of how far we've come. Erica smiled, leaning her head on my shoulder. Henry, have you thought about what you want to do next? Beyond the restaurant? I took a deep breath, contemplating her question. I've been thinking about expanding the restaurant, maybe opening a second location. But more than that, I want to give back. The community supported us during the toughest times, and I want to find a way to show my gratitude. Erica's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. That's a wonderful idea. We could start a community kitchen, provide meals for those in need. It's a way to help and connect with people on a deeper level. I nodded, the idea taking root in my mind. Yes, a community kitchen. And maybe we could offer cooking classes too. Teach people how to make nutritious meals on a budget. Erica squeezed my hand. I love it. Let's do it. The plan for the community kitchen quickly took shape. We found a suitable location in a nearby neighborhood that had been struggling. With the help of our loyal staff and volunteers, we renovated the space, transforming it into a warm and welcoming kitchen. One afternoon, as we were putting the finishing touches on the kitchen, Andrew approached me with a broad smile. Henry, this place is incredible. It's going to make a real difference. Thanks, Andrew, I replied, clapping him on the shoulder. I couldn't have done it without all of you. This is a team effort. Andrew nodded. We're all in this together. By the way, have you thought about who will run the day-to-day operations here? I glanced at Erica, who was talking animatedly with a group of volunteers. I have, actually. Erica has agreed to oversee the kitchen. She's got the heart and the vision for it. As if sensing our conversation, Erica walked over, her eyes shining with excitement. Are you two talking about me? Andrew laughed. Just discussing how lucky we are to have you running this place. Erica blushed slightly. It's a team effort, as Henry said, and I'm thrilled to be part of it. The grand opening of the community kitchen was a resounding success. People from all walks of life came together to celebrate. As I looked around at the smiling faces, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Later that evening, after the festivities had wound down, Erica and I sat on the steps of the kitchen, watching the stars twinkle overhead. "You know, Henry," Erica said softly, "this feels like a new beginning. Not just for the restaurant or the community kitchen, but for us." I turned to her, my heart swelling with emotion. "I feel the same way, Erica. This journey has been incredible, and I can't imagine doing it with anyone else." She took my hand, her eyes locking onto mine. "So, what do you say we keep building this new life together? See where it takes us?" I smiled, pulling her close. "I say yes, to new beginnings and everything that comes with them." As we sat there, hand in hand, I knew that the future held endless possibilities. The past had taught me resilience and the importance of true relationships. With Erica by my side, I was ready to embrace whatever came next, confident that together we could face any challenge and build a life filled with purpose, love, and happiness. Our journey had just begun, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly at peace. The shadows of betrayal and hardship had given way to a bright new dawn, and I was eager to see what tomorrow would bring.